Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon for joining. Please give us a few minutes more for others to enroll. We are admitting the rest of the participants to the room. May I also request for those who on their read.ai to cancel it because it takes up the space of the participant. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we will start. Thank you all of you for tuning in to today's talk. The Society of Physiology is truly honored and fortunate to host Dr. Cecilia Chan today. It is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Cecilia Chan. With over 2 decades dedicated to the elder care industry, Dr. Chan is a distinguished gerontologist, a trainer, a researcher, and above all, a deeply passionate dementia advocate and activist. Her work is central to the evolutions of dementia care practice throughout Malaysia. She has led and established a wide variety of innovative projects based on creative care model, always aiming to change the culture of care. She initiated the Living Beyond Dementia support group for people living with the condition and their care partners. Dr. Chan is also a cultural innovator. She brought the first of its kind creative therapeutic art, Totsu from Japan to Malaysia, and it is still an ongoing project. Her advocacy has a global reach. She successfully launched the Reimagining Dementia Malaysia campaign on an international platform. To further facilitate dementia awareness at the community level, she has worked with Malaysian dancer, photographer, and musician to create a more diversified advocacy platform. She has continuously provided dementia care training, spoken at national and international conferences, and written numerous articles on dementia and aging issues. Most recently, her project, the Forgotten Mutiara Cafe, has made headline as the first pop-up cafe in Malaysia run by Malaysians living with dementia. This powerful initiative serve to debunk stigma and showcase the capabilities of those living with the condition. Before we officially welcome Dr. Chan, here are a few quick housekeeping points. Please ensure your speaker's volume is turned on to minimize background noise and ensure the best quality, sound quality for everyone. All attendees has been automatically muted upon entry. This session is scheduled to run for 60 minutes, including a questions and answer segment. We welcome your questions. Please submit them at any time using the chat function located at the bottom of your screen. Dr. Chan will address all questions during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. We will try to get as many as possible. If further clarification needed, please contact Dr. Cecilia via her email address. Please also use the chat function for technical issue or brief comments. For your information, the webinar is being recorded. We will be sharing the recording with all. Before you log off, please take a moment to complete brief feedback survey. So, without further delay, please join me welcoming Dr. Cecilia Chan. Dr. Chan, we are ready for you to share your screen.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction. Let me share my screen. May I check if you're able to see this?
Yes.
Shall I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon and warm welcome to everyone that is here. And today we're going to talk about a topic that is very close to my heart and which actually rounds up about the kind of work that I'm doing in Malaysia. It is to address the stigma of dementia in a Malaysian context, what we are facing on a daily basis, and what we can do about it as a person and as a community. And I hope that this will inspire us to change. Right? So let's talk about the reality of dementia. It is a fact that there is a continuous increase of numbers of cases of dementia worldwide. And unfortunately, it is also happening in Malaysia. We are seeing a continuous increase of cases of dementia in Malaysia as well. And this was an article that I thought that could actually make us think very deeply. Are we prepared? By 2050, it is projected that our cases will rise more than 300%. And I'm not going to answer this question. I will just leave this question to everyone here. So let us think for a moment. Do you think that we are ready for this? Let's talk about the reality, right? This is the reality of the kind of experiences that Malaysians living with dementia are facing on a daily basis. Yeah. And it just was very disturbing for me when I took these pictures when I was visiting a friend of mine who was residing in a facility. And I was kind of very troubled that about 50% of the residents in the facility were being restrained physically and also chemically. And that most of the people that were restrained were living with dementia. And this is an accepted norm in Malaysia. When I put this in my social media, most of the Malaysians commented that it is acceptable because they feel that they do not have any other choices or it's for their own good. And then interestingly, when I put the same pictures in an international social media, everybody was very appalled and shocked that this is allowed because this is infringement of basic human rights. It is against the law to restrain people in other country, and yet we are practicing it on a daily basis. And everybody is shocked that there is no law to protect us from this experience in Malaysia. Just something for us to think about, right? So the myth of dementia. Let's talk about what is wrong about dementia, what is wrongly thought, and what is wrongly accepted as the truth. A lot of us assume that dementia is part of aging. It is part of normal aging, to expect it as we age. Dah tua, nyanyok lah. But here I want to show that this is a PET scan of a two brain. Okay, so this is a PET scan of a 20-year-old brain And this is a PET scan of a brain that is 80 years old. And if we compare these two scans, yes, we can note that there are some changes, but it is not so drastic, right? We will take more time processing information. We will take more time learning compared to a young brain. But basically, the brain functions pretty much the same. Another myth that I get all the time, excuse me, is that when I refer a case, automatically people will ask me, Cecilia, are they aggressive? So we kind of assume that people with dementia will get aggressive. We kind of accepted that that's the fact. So we have a term that we use in the medical community. We call it BPSD, behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia. So we lump everything as symptoms. So if I'm angry, if I am moody, if I'm depressed, if I'm lonely, and I show my feelings, I emote it up, I act it out. If I have dementia, then I will be labeled as having PTSD. It is all due to dementia. So we kind of look at it as a pathology. Every emotions that you and I experience will also be experienced by people living with dementia. The difference is we label it as a pathology, not as a normal human reaction. Another myth is we tend to simplify dementia and regard it as just forgetfulness, loss of memory, cannot remember so well. And if you understand the brain and its structures and its function, the anatomy and the physiology of the brain, you will realize that the brain is much, 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 much more than just keeping your memories. It is a very complex, amazing organs that controls pretty much of everything of what we do and why we are here right now. You're listening to me, you're listening, you're understanding all that is happening because of your functioning brain. So dementia is much, much more than just being forgetful. Another myth that we get very often is, people with dementia cannot feel anything already lah. We tie them or we tie them up or we, put them in a corner and all that. It is okay one because they cannot feel anything anymore. But emotions can remain intact pretty much until the end, even when language and memory fade. And I think we need to get this really right. Another myth is all people with dementia, we homogenize it. Everybody with dementia are the same one. But let us just give it a thought. There are about how many people here in this room? Maybe 60 of us. Each one of us have got a different background. We experience our life differently. We got different educational system. We got different upbringing. We got different culture. We experience life very uniquely. Some of us have gone abroad. Some of us live in impoverished situation. Some of us has got a lot of opportunity. Our parenting style are also different. So we experience our world differently. We've got very different personality. We've got very different behaviors. So if any of us have dementia at the end, one day, should we get dementia, we will experience dementia very uniquely. Each one of us will experience it differently. It will not be the same because we are very unique, varied human beings. No person with dementia are alike. Okay? And we think that they are the living dead, right? They are the empty shell just because they sit in a corner and don't say anything, that they're no more there already. I'm sharing with you. This is a client of mine living with Parkinson's, really advanced Parkinson's, and also dementia. When she came for the first time, she totally shut down. She didn't even want to open her eyes. She just closed her eyes and she shut down completely, didn't want to talk to us, didn't respond to us. So the family members and everybody assume that she's the living dead because she doesn't react, she doesn't talk, she doesn't respond, she's just by herself. But as she comes to our daycare center, within week 2, we realize there's a drastic difference. You look at her here, we brought her to the garden, our garden. We asked her to step on the grass, feel the grass in the sun, get some vitamin D, feel the heat. By the 3rd week, when we had our Mid-Autumn Festival and we were playing games, she was able to participate, and she even kicked the ball. She could receive the ball. She could open her eyes. She could answer us softly. So sometimes it is us who sort of assume just because we don't give them an opportunity that they shut down. And when we shut down, we assume that they shut down. The brain will decide that, okay, I think you don't need this function anymore. So the synapses are gone, and then the brain cells die, and it progresses faster. So it is very dangerous for us to assume that people with dementia are dead. They're just a living corpse or a zombie. And I want to explain that the experience of dementia is highly social, because dementia is experienced in a interpersonal relation, in a community. It is not by itself. Because if I have dementia, my existence is within the community. I interact with my children, I will interact with my spouse, with my church people, my grocery shops, when I go to the hospital, the nurses, the doctors. It is experienced in an interpersonal basis. And what getting very, very common, right? When people visit us, especially when we have a dementia, when we have a cafe, remember it's a pop-up cafe that I will explain later. And our visitors and our guests will come and they will be so shocked. They say, "Are you sure they have dementia, Cecilia? She looked normal, or he looks normal. They don't look like they have dementia." I get this all the time when people visit our center. They make this kind of remark that they don't look demented. So let's reflect for a while. What do you think those with dementia will look like? What do we expect people to look like when they have dementia? This is the reality, right? Do you know from looking at this picture, which one of us has got dementia? Do you think that dementia has a specific look? The reality is no, okay? They don't have a look. The construct, we're talking about how it happened. How did we come to stigmatize dementia so heavily? Dementia is the most stigmatized health condition. How did it happen? That's because we constructed it, okay? All kind of stigma is a social construct. So we use terms like this, the living death, Alzheimer's disease, coping with the living. And these are books that we refer to. These are references book. And with this title, it sort of condition us to look at dementia in a very negative way. Okay, and we look at journals. These are medical journals, journals of medical ethics. I'm just asking you to look at the title itself. Relatives of the living dead. Right of the living dead. The title itself carries a very heavy message that we have been kind of conditioned to think that people living with dementia are no more human beings and they are zombies. And zombie is the most disgusting, fearful creatures that we human beings are afraid of. And when we kind of connect people with dementia as zombies, what does that tell you, right? And we have even politicians who announce that people living with dementia, she call it dementia sufferers, have a duty to die so that it do not burden all of us non-demented people. So as of now, right now, dementia is the most feared condition. in the world. Okay, it used to be cancer once upon a time, but now dementia has taken over, and it is the most severe condition. It is also true in Malaysia. So why is that a big deal? So what happens if people are afraid of dementia? So what? How does it affect us? It has huge impact on us, because a lot of people that I meet or people call me, come to my center, more than 80% of people who call me do not have a diagnosis. They comes with symptoms, right? And when they call me, the symptoms that they give are pretty advanced. So more than half of people are putting off seeking a dementia diagnosis because of the stigma. Because when we get the diagnosis of dementia, you have a label, you stick a label, Cecilia has dementia. Once I have the label, I will be treated differently. With the label, without the label, people treat me differently. Once I'm labeled with having dementia, my friends, my families, my relatives, my community will treat me very differently because of the stigma. So I better don't see and get a diagnosis so that people will still relate to me normally as Cecilia. So these are just some of the research, and that indicates and proof that stigma really prevents us from getting a diagnosis. If you and I feel a tummy ache or a chest pain or difficulty in breathing, any kind of symptoms that make us feel uncomfortable, that we are not well, we will not hesitate to go to the emergency department. We will not hesitate to go and get a health assessment to find out what is wrong with us so that we can get the treatment, right? But then if we feel that something is wrong with us cognitively, that our brain functions differently and we realize it, usually we will ignore it and we will sweep it under the carpet and we will pretend that it's not there, or we fake it, or we cover it up until it is really, really bad. So most of the cases that gets a diagnosis are pretty advanced state, right? And that carries a lot of consequences, because it makes a lot of difference to get early diagnosis so that we can do something at a very early stage, so that we do not wait until it's very advanced that we cannot do anything anymore. So we use this tragedy narrative, right? All the terms that we use, zombie, living zombie, empty shells, living dead, and all that. It's very negative. It's using the loss model. It really dehumanizes, it stigmatizes, and people living with dementia are already going through so much. And yet this is an additional shame. I want to admit that I've got dementia. I don't want people to know that my father has got dementia, because it's very embarrassing and there's a heavy stigma. So I'll try to cover it up. Social isolation is one of the effects of dementia. It's so true in Malaysia. Most people with dementia, as the disease progresses, or as long as they get a diagnosis, they will shy away from the world because they are so conscious about what people will say, how people will treat them. So that I'll stop going to church, I will stop going to my temple, I will stop volunteering at a club, I will stop doing things because I'm so afraid if people find out I'm doing the wrong things, or I'm repeating, or I can't recall, or I can't recognize them, what will people think of me? What will people say about me? So I better stop going. It's very common. It is also very common for us to sort of shy away from them. If I realize that, oh, my friend, who used to hang out together, we used to go and have coffee, and now she's got the diagnosis of dementia, I will be more inclined not to invite her, not to include her in our next meeting and our next get together, because I don't know what to say to her. I don't know how to react to her. What if she acts strange? What if she asks the questions again and again? So it's better if we exclude her. This is also very common in the dementia world. And this story that I need to tell is very poignant because this is the starting point of my journey to become a dementia advocate. There was this guy when I was doing the research, and this happened in Ipoh, and this guy was he was a teacher, and he retired as a teacher. And after retirement, he went to his first love, that is dancing. And he was an amazing dancer. He could dance so well. And not only was he an amazing dancer, he was an amazing teacher. And he was the one who brought line dancing to Ipoh. And he was the one who trained all the line dancing instructors. So one day, let's call him Charles. One day, Charles was realizing and noticing that there are some changes. You know, I'm feeling uncomfortable about some changes. Things are not the same. I'm not as skillful as before and all that. So when he noticed the change, he went to see his doctor, his geriatrician, got assessment done and all that. And finally, he got a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, a type of dementia. Funny thing is, immediately upon getting the diagnosis, he stopped dancing and he closed his class. And that decision kind of shocked me a lot because I know him as somebody who loves dancing. That's something that he loves so much. And for him to give up suddenly must be something that triggered him. So I asked him, Charles, why is it that you stopped dancing? My thought was that he was afraid that he was going to fall, or maybe he couldn't balance himself. I thought it was a gait problem. And his answer shook me to my core. He said, Cecilia, I stopped dancing because now that I've got dementia, I'm afraid that I'm not able to dance the way people expect me to dance. And that sort of like made me realize, wow, that was so powerful. It means that we as a community, we as a human being, has a huge role to play in the dementia world. His worry was not about him falling down. His worry was not about, that he could remember the steps or not. It's not about that. His worry was about us. What if he cannot live to our expectations? And that really, really shocked me. And also the majority of the model that we use in Malaysia is very medical, very biomedical based, right? And let's just look at evaluation. How do we assess a person's with dementia? How do we assess, use whatever cognitive test that we use? We are looking at what is lost. We are looking at what the person is unable to do. So when we measure the loss purely focusing on what the person cannot do anymore, how do we plan our care? How is our care plan like for people with dementia if you're only looking at the loss? Our care plan will then work on substitute. We will take over. I will then feed her. I will bathe her. I will change. I will take over everything that she cannot do anymore because we are only focusing on the loss, right? So this is my client. You can see this is my team member, and this is our garden where we grow our sweet potato leaves. And our client that's squatting down here there with our team member, she is living with advanced Alzheimer's. She scored very terribly for her mini mental test. I think she got about, I'm not sure, it's less than about 18, 16, and she failed her test. And so she has issues using language, comprehension. Sometimes she would have problem doing tasks that she used to do, like housework and all that. And so they stopped her from doing everything because of her confusion. But right here, we were harvesting our sweet potato leaves, and she's actively cutting it. And she was telling us how to look at the leaves, which leaves do we look for? How do we cut the leaves? And how do we place it? How do we choose which leaves to throw away? And then after that, she even taught us how to prepare a meal, how to cook the leaves of the sweet potato. What I'm trying to say is that if we merely look at the loss, this opportunity will never happen because, okay, she failed her mini mentor, she can't do anything now. But these are still her reserve skills. And if you miss that, you miss a lot in a person. Caregiving, care planning will change completely if we stop looking at merely the loss. So, looking at all the myth and the reality, how does that translate to the daily lives in Malaysia? So let's talk about our Malaysian true stories, Kisah Benar Malaysia. Let's debunk our myth. This is a very difficult video to share, but it's important one. This happened very close to me. I'm right here in Penang Island, Penang State. And this happened quite close to where I am in St. Kulim. And this happened at a facility. And somebody was in this facility, took this video, and this video went viral. It went viral. And the authorities went in, didn't do anything much to my knowledge. They just closed down the building and fined it. And then a week later, we all forgot about it. But I just wish to point out to you that this is very common, not only in facilities. I'm not talking about, the facilities. I'm talking about this is the common practice in Malaysia. Abuse is very common in the dementia world. Let's look at this video. Yeah, and this is the staff, and this is the person living with dementia right here. And you can see what's happening. Just start the video for us to look at.
ஏய் ஆசிரமத்துல என்ன ஆளை போட்டு அடிக்கிறீங்க எப்படி? என்னால ஆசிரமத்துல ஆளை அப்படி அடிக்கிறீங்க? ஏய் 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 இது உள்ள போய் எகிரி உள்ள பூந்தோம் நீ சத்துருவப்ப. ஆசிரமம் வச்சு நடத்துறீங்களா? என்னால வச்சு நடத்துறீங்க?
Very difficult video to watch. Again, I have to show this, so that we have to face the reality of what's happening in Malaysia. Another case that happened was a mother living with dementia, Alzheimer's type, and all her children are living abroad. And when they realized that the mom has got dementia, they all decided to put her in a nursing home. But this woman is a very independent. She has been a single mom all her life. She's been living life independently. She depends on herself. She's hardworking, very proud, and very accomplished lady. So in no way was she going to be agreeing to be placed in a facility, right? So her daughter decided to come back to Malaysia and drugged her milk. They actually drugged her milk and transported her to a facility. And just imagine, tonight I'm at my own house and I'm with my daughter and relaxing. And then I sleep. When I wake up, suddenly I'm in this new place with 50 other people. And where are all my belongings? Where are all my things? Why am I sharing room with 3 other strangers? And this is a strange place. People are telling me what to eat, what to do, when to bathe, how to behave. So it's a very shocking thing for me. Of course, I would want to go home and I want to run away because I think that I'm being kidnapped. Something is not right. And yet, when they behave such a way, we label them as PTSD. She's anxious, she's agitated because of dementia. But would it be okay for you and I to be drugged and next day wake up in a strange place? And so she was, and this is a real story, right? And unfortunately, I couldn't do anything about it because I have no idea where she was subsequently. But I think we really need to look at this really seriously. And we want it to be safe. So we thought that we decided that this is also in abroad, this is also in the Western countries, I'm sure. You've heard about secure dementia unit. So that's because we don't want them to go away. We don't want them to get lost. We don't want them to wander. We lock them up in the unit. Okay, and so I'm just showing this picture. If you are locked out in a place that is strange to you with other people, how would that make you feel? I mean, if we are in a place, even though it's a nice looking posh place, we go to a hotel and people tell us, okay, now you're going to stay in this hotel forever. We will bring you the food, we will bring you what you need, but you can never get out from this hotel. You'll be stay there until you die. Would that make us feel happy? I mean, let's be honest. Does that give us a sense of well-being? Definitely not, right? We want to be at home. We want to be a place that is safe and secure. But usually when we think about dementia unit, it's just a locked up unit. This is done by one of my clients living with Lewy body dementia when we were constructing things with cubes and all that. And I asked him, why don't you construct something? And he did this, he created this. And I thought it was very interesting. And I said, does this mean anything to you? And he said, yes, this yellow round thing is me. And all these are my walls. This is my life now. I'm living in a prison every day. And this gentleman lives in a home, not a facility, yeah. But it's that feeling that ones feel that they are not in a community. If they are isolated from the community, they don't belong to one of us anymore. They are different and they're placed outside the community circle because of dementia. This is another client of mine when we're doing playing with the clay. She created this. She is a 80 plus year old lady living with Alzheimer's. And she made this, that was very interesting. I took the picture and I asked her, can you tell me a little bit about this? And she said, this is me. And I said, she's actually very scrawny, very, very, very thin. And I said, how is this you? Can you explain to me? And she said, you see the big fat legs here? I wish to have big fat legs so that I can dance, so that I can jump, so that I can work, so that I can do all the things. I said, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, good to have strong legs. Yeah. And then I asked her, I prompted her to share more. And she says, I want to have a big head, a huge head that covers my face, that covers me, so that people will not look at me. Because when people look at me, they will judge me. They will judge me when I talk because people think that I'm different. So I want to have this huge head to cover me so people do not see me. Isn't that very powerful? This is me walking with one of my clients during our morning walk. This garden is right in front of our center. And this lady has been dismissed just because they think that she speaks gibberish. She talks nonsense. They don't have any idea what she's saying. And a lot of us assume that people with dementia has got nothing to say. Okay. And I want to remind us that not being able to speak is not the same as having nothing to say. When I was walking with her, she spoke a lot. And because I know her as a person, I understand her context pretty much a lot. So this is another client, husband and wife. The wife is living with advanced Alzheimer's. And because we know our client, we know them very well. And she loves the food. She's a type who enjoys the food. She savors her food. So one day she didn't touch her lunch, but she didn't say anything. And she just played with the food, and then she just refused to eat. And she kept on swallowing her saliva. And I looked at her, she looks a bit uncomfortable, moody. She looked very moody. So if we look at people with dementia, looking at the stigma, we say, oh, it's the BPSD. It's because of the dementia, this is a behavioral and psychological problem. Oh yeah, she's moody. Yeah, people with dementia are like that one, right? But because we look at her as a person, I took a sweet, she loves sweets, and I gave it to her. Yeah, why don't you have a piece of sweet? She looked at the sweet and she put it on the table. She didn't unwrap it to taste it. That's very strange, I thought. And I looked at her and then she was swallowing her saliva. And I asked her, are you feeling nauseated? Do you want to vomit? And she looked at her face, I can still remember her face. She said, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. She's so relieved because she's experiencing it, but she cannot have the language to tell you. She doesn't know how to express herself. So it is really up to us to be the detective. Okay. So when I asked her, I said, yes. And we went and I said, let's go, to the toilet. So we went to the toilet and halfway to the toilet, she vomited on the floor already. She was containing all the discomfort for so long. And so it is her inability to express herself. But if we assume that, oh yeah, she refused to eat because she's got dementia, like she's moody because she's got dementia and all that, we will miss all these cues. So we really need new ways of thinking and speaking about dementia beyond the deficit-based models, beyond looking at just what a person is lost anymore. Here we are preparing food together, this picture. So what can we do as a community? People, we are just normal people, we are not policy makers, we don't have grants, we are not rich. So what can you and I do at a community level? And just going to share some of the projects that we did. We have these Aging Well festivals that we have every year annually. And this is a festival that we celebrate aging, because aging is a process that all of us will go through, rich, poor, no matter what walks of life, we all will age. And we are all currently at this moment that we're speaking, experiencing aging every moment of our life. So when we have this festival, we have people from all age, we have the young, the old, the very old, coming together and just being together and celebrating life as a whole. And we want to age well and age well together as one community. No age discrimination, no generation gap. We all come and celebrate life together. And we have this, we call it the Dancing with Dementia walk. We do it every year. And again, it is at the community level, where people from all age group, from all community, from all culture, race, religion, come together, and we just walk around our taman, and then we have fun, we have activities, we have singing, we have karaoke, we have dancing, we have painting, we have exercise. People from various NGOs come and set booth, sell things, share things, and we will come together, bringing everybody together. It's not just a experts giving talks, but reliving it that people living with dementia, just like you and I, that exist in a community. It can be our neighbor, it can be our relatives, it can be anybody. How are we going to create a safe environment for people to exist, even when they're living with brain changes? Okay, so this is a Totsu dance that was mentioned earlier. And we have been doing Totsu for the past 4 years, just after the pandemic. Totsu was actually introduced in Japan. So Totsu is a Japanese word. And the group used it as a way to communicate and engage with people living with dementia in Japan. They started in Tokyo. So when the COVID break in, and then we had to have a restraint. We have to keep ourselves at home, and we're not allowed to come out to the public, and that happened worldwide. So Japan was also facing the same thing. So they couldn't do it physically. So they switched everything to online. So then they began to do Totsu with their clients online, living with dementia throughout all the facilities. And I happened to spot that and notice that. And I reached out to them and said that if you could do an online session with people with dementia in Japan, I'm assuming that you can do the same with people living with dementia in Malaysia. Can you include us, Malaysians? And that's how it started. So we did online sessions, Totsu with Malaysians. And then when the Malaysia opened up, people were allowed to come in. We brought the team to Malaysia, and we did a physical workshop, and it went on until now. It's ongoing. Yeah. So I'm just going to give you a clips. This happened this year in Penang during one of the Totsu workshop. Okay, this is purely 100% improvised there and then. And you can see this person here is Jario. This is the choreographer, the dancer. And this is one of our clients. And you can see that the interaction and the engagement and the fun. Okay, I'll just show you a short video clip. Yes, so it's just a short clips of what Totsu is about and why I brought things like we have to look outside the medical model. So then we look at creative arts to bring in creative arts in the world of dementia, that we can still learn to communicate and learn to engage and connect with each other. Right. And we went into Georgetown Festival this year. That is myself giving an intro, and this happens at Hinbas. And again, we had the team from Japan, the Totsu team, and our team also from here itself in Penang. And we did a 3 hours workshop, a creativity workshop during the Georgetown Festival. And that happened in this year, August. So this is how we reach out to the community, because if I'm going to give a talk or medical talk or conference that our usual traditional way, we have been attending a lot of conferences and medical talks and all that. It's the same people that attends. It's the same people that comes every year. Each time I go to a conference, I will see the same participant, the same speakers, and that's not what we want. It doesn't change anything. So I have to think outside the box. How then do I reach out to other people who otherwise will not come for a seminar, medical seminar? So I have to think outside the box, and this is where I reach out. These are purely artists. So these are people who are dancers, musicians, videographer. These are people outside the medical bracket. The people come together to understand culture, to understand arts and all that. And we bring in dementia in this kind of platform so that we go to the community and reach out to them. Instead of having a seminar and expecting people to come, we go to the community, we go to the roots and reach out to them, right? And this is our pop-up cafe that we started. I think we have been doing that for the past 3 years. This is our 3rd year. So this you can see in this picture here, this is our daycare center in Butterworth. And so we will turn it into a cafe, hence the name Pop-Up Cafe. And we named our cafe the Forgotten Mutiara. In Mutiara is pearl in Malay, our Malaysian language. And we use the word pearl because I thought it symbolizes dementia. When a person is diagnosed to have dementia, we sort of look at the ugly shell, just like the pearl. When we look at the pearl, the shell is really horrible. It is not very nice looking. It can be disgusting. And we always look at the shell. But if we look underneath the shell, we can see the human being still inside. And that's the pearl. And we often forget the pearl. So we name our cafe the Forgotten Mutiara Cafe. Okay, so when we have our clients and us, the staff, and also our volunteers coming together that turn it into a for the day cafe, right? Where we prepare our food. We actually start from preparing our menu. We start with like, let's talk about, let's go and turn this into a restaurant. And everybody gets so excited and they said, what shall we cook? So these people were, all of them, very skillful. They were housewives. Some of them used to be barista working in the kopitiam, used to make coffee. Some of them used to be chefs. Some of them used to be cooks and all that. So these are all skills that we have neglected. So we come together, we create the menu together, and so we have teams, the kitchen team, the floor team, the PR team. And so you can see her so happy. She's serving the dessert. Okay. And so she's so happy, we call ourselves the crew, serving meals, the dishes. Okay, so these are people who are, she used to be a working in a kopitiam and she used to make coffee and tea. And so she still has got her skills left. And so she is used to be a chef. She operates her own restaurant, a Chinese restaurant. So she is now in our Forgotten Mutiara Cafe. She is the head of the chef in our kitchen. She's the head of the barista. And then this year, we did something quite unique, and because a lot of us assume that people with dementia cannot go out, they can't go for holidays, they can't go to strange places because they will get confused, they will get agitated, they will get angry. So I coined out with this idea that let's have conduct a retreat for people living with dementia and their family members. And I said, let's do it in a resort. So we did it in Ferengi Beach, Penang Island. We did it at a resort around Ferengi. So we have the beach, it's a beach resort. And we had them checking in with us and they stay overnight. Okay, so they stay overnight. So we spend the night there. So we have lots of fun singing. Toksu Toksu gang were there. We conducted Toksu Toksu also. We have walking meditation and all that. And we bring people, family members and us coming together. And when I coined the idea, a lot of people were very shocked with me. A lot of them thought that I was crazy to think of, such a project, because definitely what happens if they run away? What happens if they get agitated? What happens if they get disoriented and they get confused? But I was telling my team that we know these people, these are our friends. It's just that if we cannot, our friends coming, we would know their style, we will be able to comfort them. We were able to support them because we know them. So we did our first ever retreat, and it was an amazing experience for everyone. It opened everyone's eyes. debunk a lot of myths and made us realize a lot of stuff. And we also learned a lot from that retreat. I'll just share with you this video.
You and I are like trees in the forest, equal and strong in any weather. Joy in the sunshine, bow and bend with the rain. Our roots grow together, we are like birds of a feather. You lead and I lead, we get there together. You hear my song, you sing along and we fly. It's a new day, it's a new way. It's a new day, it's a new way. Let's reimagine. It's a new day, let's create a world where everyone can try. But together they have the joy of one. It's the joy of all life. It's a fearless day, it's a hopeful way. Let's reimagine. Mari baharu kita hasilkan dunia untuk semua. Satu hari di mana semua berkongsi kebahagiaan. Sentiasa berani penuh harapan kita bayangkan. We are like flowers that stand our garden. Given the space, we all can blossom. Different abilities, gorgeous diversity grows. We thrive together. We are the change that is needed. Come join the change as we see it. Mari kita cubalah bayangkan dunia kita yang penuh harapan. We are the change that is needed. Come join the change as we see it. Mari kita cubalah bayangkan dunia kita yang penuh harapan.
Just going to share shortly about this, that this is my next project that we have launched physically, but we'll be launching it soon, next month, 5th of December. It's called Urut Urut, the Care Partnering Journey. It took 1 year for us to do this. So this is with another artist. She is a videographer, and we took the journey together for 12 months to create how is it like, what is the experience like care partnering in the dementia world. So these are some of the examples of the work that I'm doing, and I hope that you'll join us. I'll be sharing this soon, that it is online, and join us as we talk about our latest project, Urut Urut. Okay, so this is my last slide. My last message is change can only start with us, right? And again, thank you for your attention, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cecilia Chan. Your presentation is very insightful. We have a couple of questions, although we reached about 60 minutes, but we can take like another 2-3 questions. I do have a question from Charmin, said, how do we discover what they can still do? Did you mention about this?
Okay, so I think the first step is just to sort of change our mindset first, because I think, sorry, this is very distracting. I'll take this. Change our mindset about people living with dementia as being very different, and just being at ease with them, because it's no one answer. It is that when your existence and when your space that you share with them feels comfortable, that they feel the feeling is very intact, feeling is there under the, and they feel comfortable enough to be themselves. They know that you're not judging them, you're not testing them, you're not going to threaten them. You're genuinely want to make a connection with them. Then they will feel at ease, and that is when we kind of allow ourselves, myself, and me acknowledge my own weaknesses as well, my nuances as well, you that I'm caring for with your nuances as well, and then we connect in that level where it is a safe space, then we're able to sort of connect. When I connect, then I'll be able to see your true essence, your true self. And I think that that space is very important to create a space that is safe.
Okay, thank you. We have another questions from Nur Ain. She mentioned that her mom has a symptom of dementia and she's taking care of her mom now. Juggling between the works and taking care of her mom is quite hard, and usually she's only at home at night. So she asked that can you suggest activity at home that she can do together with her mom? And her mother is 75 years old. Thank you.
Yeah, first and foremost, my heart goes to you. It is a very challenging journey. I am not disputing the fact it is not easy. It is not a journey that for us to undertake alone. You can never be a lone ranger in this caregiving journey. You need a team. So I hope that you're not shouldering everything yourself because it is overwhelming. It is impossible. So I hope that you will create a team, which means the team consists of maybe friends, relatives, cousins, auntie, uncle, maybe neighbor and all that. Then they will be the one, not you, because you are the sole primary caregiver. It's going to be enormously, and when you do it, you are also very stressed out, and they can sense your stress. So I would advise you to create a team. It could be your mother's sister, friend, kawan-kawan, anything, anybody that's involved in your team. Then you have a plan of activities that involves different people. For example, maybe my neighbor will come and then they make kuih together. Somebody will come and then they will pray the nasyid or the doa together. Somebody else will come and then maybe they will do gardening together. So you have different people throughout the week doing different things, and she gets the exposure of experiencing different people coming in and out of her life so that she won't be overwhelmed. She still get the social experience, of being a social and networking and chatting and all. That's very important so that she won't feel so lonely, and you as a caregiver will not feel so overwhelmed. So it really depends on what your mother is interested in. I don't recommend that, okay, because Sudoku is very good, crossword puzzle is very good, everybody must do, but they are so stressed doing it. So it must be something that's meaningful for her. It must be something that is enjoyable for her, that she will want to participate in it. So you know your mother better. So it really depends on your mom.
All right, thank you. Another comment section from Bernard Leong. I think he should come from Singapore University of Social Science. He interested to look at Malaysian elderly care sectors. He also shared a link to there's this show called movie by Jack Neo, Money Not Enough too. So he asked the questions that with the Johor Special Economic Zone for regional integration, will it improve elder care standards in Malaysia with a cost increment? Because he mentioned that a lot of Malaysians also work in Singapore elder care. What is your thoughts or comments about this?
I
Dr.
do not
Cecilia
know,
from
because I feel that a lot of all these state level policies and this our paper, it looks very grandiose lah. It looks very impressive and all that. Even now we see what's happening in Australia, right? Now they have changed the healthcare systems and policy in Australia and also in America. Everything is it's in papers, but in reality people are struggling. So I can't comment on what's going to happen, because in policy and reality are so different, right? So I hope that now we just been I think this year we had now the first dementia policy in Malaysia. We have it, but we don't see the difference. We don't feel the difference. So it's just in paper, and it is not at the ground level, and that's my biggest concern actually.
Okay, thank you. Another one question, Jen Lim, saw the retreat video, the last one. I also think that is very amazing. She's asked, like, can you share any observation that stood out or like learning from the retreat that you showed just now, the last video?
Absolutely. I'll tell you this story. There was this couple, husband and wife, both has got dementia, comes to our center. and they were in a room, and it was at night. So everybody, because we were all assumed, oh, when at night there is this, they will change and they'll get agitated because the environment is different and people are very scared. And so both of them, husband and wife, has dementia and stays with their daughter. But the daughter had a corporate event, corporate annual dinner, and she had to attend. So she will only come back around after midnight, So we had to accompany them babysit until the daughter comes back. And we were in a room, with them, and we were, watching the TV, and they were playing puzzles, and we were chit-chatting, and it was very late. It was around 11 something, And the wife was looking at the bed, and she says, "This bed is so huge," because they placed the 3 beds together. And I said, "Yeah." And then she says, "Yeah, this bed is so huge. You don't have to go anywhere else, lah. Why don't you sleep here? Sleep with us, no?" And she was changing into PJs, and then she said, "You go and change your pajamas, and you don't have to go and buy another room. Why don't you just come here and sleep next to us? This big space, plenty of space." That shows that they are very comfortable with us, that it's a strange place, and it's a strange environment. Yet they feel comfortable enough to even invite us to sleep with them. I mean, that speaks a lot. And so there's another one that is quite cute. We were doing activities in a circle, and so she sort of recognized us, but she cannot place us. It's just like a person cannot recognize their own daughter, right? I mean, I know you, but who are you in relation? I cannot remember the relationship, but I kind of know you. So she was looking at all of us, and she was telling me so she thinks in her mind we are all related in a relative. So that is my second auntie, that is my niece, that is my uncle, and she recognized all of us as a family. So this is very heartwarming. So and then during the retreat, we felt very united because we went to the breakfast together, we went to the buffet, then we went to the beach, and then we were singing. It is not a caregiving medical thing, we're just coexisting as human beings, sharing the moments of joy, laughing, eating together, and all that. It changes a lot of perspective. It did.
Oh, thank you. That's quite interesting. Another question is from Fatin. Hi, Dr. Cecilia. Fatin is from IIUM Kuantan, and she thanks for the insights and experience. So she noticed that you are working in Penang. Yes, Dr. Cecilia is from the northern of Malaysia, and she would like to know, is there any similar advocate or organizations in the east coast of Malaysia? Do you know any?
Yeah, we are working. I mean, I was at USM Kementerian in August, and we are planning to work with the university on workshops and projects on training caregivers. Because I do that very often. We have webinar and workshops every month to provide skills for caregiving. And so we are trying to set that up in USM Kementerian.
Okay, so probably like Fatin can actually contact Dr. Cecilia more to know the any activities that runs in East Coast, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Cecilia, do you still have another 5 minutes to
Sure.
answer some questions? Okay,
Yeah.
sure. So I have another one question from Su Hong Yo. The person asked, Dr. Cecilia, is young onset harder to manage? What is your thoughts and experience in this area?
Okay, so young onset means 65 and below. For those who want to understand the terms, late onset is so also no, sorry, that's early. When we're talking about early stage dementia, it is when so in a medical model, we stage it stage 1, stage 2 to stage 7. So it's when the symptoms when you are losing more and more skills, it becomes more advanced. So every stage we sort of do an assessment and say, okay, you are stage 5, for example, so you lose all the abilities. So when you say early onset, that means a person who is still at the early, still got a lot of abilities. So the question is that if I have just been diagnosed and I'm still early in my stage of dementia, do I get more agitated? What was that question? Sorry.
asking whether what is your thoughts on experience in
It's
engaging
more
with the
difficult to
young?
manage. More
Yeah.
difficult to manage. Okay. So whether it is the early onset is more difficult to manage, I really cannot, like I said, put a label and say yes or no. It really depends on the person, right? If I am a narcissistic personality, or I have very bad trauma, and I was raped as a child and molested as a child, and then I was adopted. I have a case like that, this is a real story. She was given away when she was 3 years old to an adoptive family because she was naughty, right? She comes with a family of 12. Her mother had a lot of kids, and then they gave her away. And in that family, they abuse her, and she has to work like a servant and a slave. And eventually, she really suffered. She has no education, and she went through all this trauma, okay? And then she got married, and her husband died when she was very young, and I think her kids were all very little, and the youngest were only 1 year old, and husband died, and she was only living in a room. And then she had to work now, she had to babysit, she had to do all this, and then it was from the 3 years old until now, she went through so much in life, and now she developed dementia. So now she's very frustrated and all that because of the past. So you cannot just look at a person and say, yes, they were more difficult to manage. It really depends on the person's past history, the person's personality, background, to understand the person. So some people can be, even towards the end, it's quite easy to support. And some people, because of the background disorders, sometimes they have depression and all that, becomes more challenging. So I don't think so we can label a person like that. It really depends on the person itself, himself.
Okay, so related also to the young onset, so from Dr. Angsu Pesu was asking about how do we differentiate young onset dementia from brain fogging?
Okay, so that is a medical area. I'm not a medical doctor, but I will just answer it from my view. So please don't quote me. This is not medical advice. Only if you go and get a medical assessment, to go and see a geriatrician, and you do all the assessment to rule out other symptoms that may mimic dementia, like delirium, like depression, brain trauma, vitamin B deficiency and all that may mimic dementia. So we need to do a lot of tests, so there's a lot of assessment, there are a lot of blood tests and scans and all that to check, to rule out. And one of it is brain fogging. So brain fogging is just like not a permanent thing. It comes and it goes, it's quite temporary. And if you sort of treat the disease that accompanies brain fogging, like COVID, and then you will regain back your cognitive abilities. But then it's always best to seek a medical advice, get medical assessment.
Is there any other sign, out there that to look for the young onset cases? Other signs beside brain fogging?
Yeah, because if you look at, again, dementia, it is like we have got 100 over types of dementia now, right? I mean, Alzheimer's is just one type of dementia, and Alzheimer's itself has got about 10 types of Alzheimer's. So it's becoming so complicated and so complex for us to sort of look at it and summarize it. So because of the nature of dementia, that it is so complicated, it really depends on what type of dementia a person experiences and which part of the brain is affected. So depending on which part of the brain is affected, the symptoms are very different. So if, for example, if I have a frontotemporal dementia of a language variant, then I will have problem with my language ability to communicate as well as to understand. But if I have more of the frontotemporal behavioral variant, like Bruce Willis, I would have problem with my behavioral problems. You will see, but I will have no problem with memory. My memory is very intact. I will remember what I eat. I will remember short-term memory, long-term memory. I will have problem with my behaviors. So it really depends on the types of dementia.
Okay, I think last questions, we're about to, end this. So from Jane Ong, what are the training programs available in Malaysia for caregivers of dementia patients? Is there any particular training academy in Malaysia?
I believe that we do not have a proper structured one yet, and which is why I'm working very hard with certain universities and organizations to set up, proposing to set up proper structured, formalized programs, training programs. Right now, it is kind of scattered and it's all over. And I feel that our training needs to be a really hands-on and practical so that people can bring it and it can be useful tools for them as they navigate through the care partnering journey.
Okay, that's all. That's all the questions. I think the participant have many more questions. I already shared Dr. Chan's email in the chat box. You can email her. I think Dr. Cecilia would be very happy to get the questions and reply through the email. Thank you once again, Dr. Chan, for the incredible, insightful, and inspiring presentations. Your dedications to this dementia care is truly motivating. I also learning where I also my mom is actually being diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia this year. So I'm looking for like things to do with her. So thank you to all attendees that tuning in and your excellent questions and engagement. Just a quick reminder, please help to fill out the feedback survey form that we posted in the chat room. We'll also post this recording in the YouTube and share the link in our website, TFSP Physiology. Please email us if you require the certificate of attendance. And thank you again, Dr. Cecilia.
Thank you so much.
Hope to see everyone again in our next event. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.